And it's like some kind of
some
dessert.
baked dessert that he would make, and
That sounds good.
And the ladies are like, "Ooh, those sound delicious."
But they're really they talk really low.
The name of the podcast is The Delicious Dish.
Delicious
Okay,
dish.
so look it up.
Okay, I will. I'll have to.
Is this recording now?
It's recording now.
Oh dear.
Okay, let's scratch all of it.
No, I like it raw, so be careful what you say.
Wow, should have been more.
And on that note, this is a great opportunity for me, at least, to have both my parents here to ask some serious questions. Doesn't really happen. I know. Serious questions. I got some good ones.
No one said there would be serious questions.
Well, there might be. Who knows, depending on how the conversation goes.
It's gonna be great.
Let's get an update. How are you guys doing? Where'd you guys just come back from?
Getting an Xbox returned and purchasing another one.
Well, I meant the other thing. Oh. The bigger thing that you just came back from.
Oh, Europe.
Yeah, Europe. Okay, there we go.
I thought you meant today. It was today.
I mean, the Xbox is cool, but Europe's a little cooler.
Yeah, Europe's way cooler.
And the listeners of this show, they always know I talk about World War II. There's a lot of lessons learned in there. So you guys walked the grounds of Nazi concentration camps, of rally grounds. What else did you guys do?
Saw the Berlin Wall.
Yeah, we went to I think the thing that I thought was maybe most interesting was the topography of terror in Berlin, which is where the former headquarters were for the SS and the Gestapo for the Nazis. And they've knocked that down, but they've built a museum that kind of tracks the rise and fall of the Nazi party and the horrors that they committed. There's
still a little part of the wall left. It was the garage of the Gestapo and stuff. So
Gestapo is like Nazi police, right?
Right.
They're the guys that go find the Jews.
Yeah, it's Gestapo and secret police.
That was the SS.
Yeah. Oh, is that what's called SS?
I think so.
It's creepy.
Yeah.
It's creepy stuff.
It was sad.
I think I told you guys this when I picked you up, but you sent that picture of like the concentration camps where there was like tests done on Jews. And I read this book, Doctors from Hell, a while back. That was just like, it brought it to life. And it was, I don't know, because I feel like since it's in history and we're so far away from that, like it's hard to imagine that those things took place, but it's like, it really did.
It really did.
It's sad to see like, the worst of humanity come out in that kind of stuff. I don't know, but it's also like reassuring that there were people that still fought and made sure to not let that happen anymore. So,
well, there weren't enough people to fight it, unfortunately. Yeah. And the topography of terror kind of tracks how the German people basically gave ultimate power and disregard for the rule of law to their leader in order to gain power. They thought that it would help their country. Yeah. And it ultimately led to their downfall and almost like destruction of Germany. I mean, it was leveled, but the prison where we saw that, the concentration camp, was called Sachsenhausen concentration camp, and it's just outside of Berlin. And it was in the hospital infirmary. We went down to the basement, and that's where they had the little room where they experimented on prisoners.
How tall were the ceilings? Because they looked tiny.
They were like, there's a tunnel in between the two hospitals, and it was really low. It kind of freaked me out a little bit.
Yeah, you're claustrophobic.
Like I had to scrunch down. I mean, I'm 5'9", but I had to scrunch down because it was probably, the ceilings were probably, I don't know, less than 6 foot high.
That's so sad.
Yeah, it was just, but the files, I mean, that they had on all these people that they castrated, and these, they told stories about these healthy boys, that they were healthy, and then they would inject them with this stuff to see what would happen. And it just broke my heart. It was really hard to see. So after we saw all the hard stuff, we were like, let's go to a Christmas market.
Yeah, that's fair. And
let's be happy.
I mean, that's kind of a good place to pivot, because I don't want to focus solely on Nazis and the death of Jews.
It was a weird dichotomy.
Not just Jews, though. It was like, we went into this other section that was like these Jehovah's Witness that they targeted too. Like 900 died in that camp or something like that. But they had a thing on it how they wouldn't. Hitler wanted them to say, "You don't believe in this anymore, then you can leave the camp," and they wouldn't do it because they stuck to their grounds.
It's like that scene from Silence, except a little bit different.
Well, we learned too that the ones who disavowed their faith and signed the letter that said that they, didn't believe in their faith tradition, those people were immediately, once they signed, they were sent to the front lines.
Jeez.
So it was like,
it's
you're gonna die either way. Yeah.
It's a no-win situation.
Yeah.
So
that's pretty rough.
But yeah, you're right. I mean, we were going to these places during the day, and then at night, these Christmas markets that were like the holidays on steroids.
Yeah, it was like Disney times 10.
It was so awesome.
But it was quite a shift. Like the dichotomy between those two settings was really dramatic. But it really,
crazy.
Just seeing all that stuff makes you grateful.
Yeah.
Like just so grateful that, where we are and we don't have to face that right now. And, just.
And yesterday too. So it's the day after Christmas today. I spent some time last night like journaling and talking about, I don't know. Yesterday was really special to me because it was like Allie and I's first Christmas alone together. But then just going over and seeing all the family and, we went over to go. Playing games. But then we went over to go see Rosie, our old lady friend, and she was all alone. And it was like seeing that contrast of being like with your family and spending time with them, making memories, and then going to go see an old lady who's like confined to her bed. Just makes you grateful for what you have.
Yeah.
Yeah. The holidays, unfortunately, aren't pleasant for everyone. Yeah. Right. So you're right. It's one of those things you have to be grateful for.
Yeah. Well,
very blessed.
What was your favorite memory this Christmas?
That's really hard.
Come on.
That is hard. I mean,
like the Christmas season or Christmas Day?
Either one.
Well, we started off in Europe December 2nd.
Yeah.
And it was just Christmas magic the whole 2.5 weeks we were there. And then we come home to our awesome family. It just kind of is like the cherry on top,
Yeah, I agree.
And it was great to be with Dad, for that long because with work and everything in life, it just, we don't get 24/7 together.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. You guys said that this was like some of the most fun that you guys have had in years. Like going to just adventures and all that stuff.
Yeah, we hopped the train and the subway and the buses and we just it was magical.
And I would admit, like in previous Christmases, I would say there's times where I've been kind of maybe not a Scrooge, but I haven't really felt the holiday spirit all that much because I'm deep in work, and that can be sort of frustrating sometimes, right? And all consuming if you like my job can be kind of overwhelming. It can take, like, you can work around the clock and it won't you're never done. So there's times when like you look around, you're like, oh, it's Christmas, and you don't really feel that. This year I overdosed on it, right? Like I just totally overdosed on Christmas, and then it led up to the big celebration with everybody. And I mean, I've thought a lot about the reason why we celebrate Christmas, and the significance of him, of the Savior, and I don't know, it kind of a special year for me, I would say, for lots of different reasons.
I mean, it's interesting. Like I'm only 27, but like looking back, I see that too in my own life. Like, getting, especially in sales, like Q4 is when you're supposed to be closing and like trying to get all the deals across the line. And so it takes away sometimes the focus of like what you want to be on. But as parents, how's it evolved over the years? Because, when you're first take home your baby, I talk to Allie about this all the time, but I'm like, we got to be careful, like not overspending on them because they won't care about the gifts and stuff. But then just seeing us now, like coming over yesterday, Blake has his kids, George has his, I'm married. And like, it's gotta be rewarding seeing that from like a parent's perspective, like all your kids together? And
Oh, I think it is. It fills my heart with joy, I would say.
yeah,
It's cool.
Yeah, it's magic. I mean, it's very different from the Christmases we had alone before we had kids. Once you have kids,
It's even better.
it
Just gets better and better. And then you have grandkids and it's like, wow, you're getting to relive the magic all over again with your grandkids.
Yeah,
So
all the magic and the chaos.
yeah,
Lots of
definitely
chaos.
the chaos.
But no, that's awesome. And I don't know. I think it's just cool to reflect and pause and like see how far we've come. Because as a family, we've grown and like both physically, like added more people to the family, but then also just I think together we've gotten closer, and it's cool to see that happen over the years. But it takes work. Like you got to make sure you're doing what you can.
Absolutely.
Because it is sad, but sometimes like I'll forget. I'll be like, man, it's been like 2 weeks since I've talked to my dad on the phone for a while, and it makes me sad. But I mean, it's part of life.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you just get busy.
Shifting from Christmas entirely.
Okay.
Like, let's get after it now. We're going to jump
right.
into some good questions here.
Oh dear.
I got some good ones for you. But what was one of your favorite memories of me growing up?
Oh, you were such a great kid.
It could be any years. Like it could be me when I was in high school acting like a jag, or it could be when I was
You never
3.
really acted like a jag.
Yeah.
Oh, well, not jag, but weird. I was doing weird stuff. Like Dad had a picture on his phone yesterday of me sitting on his lap with a Batman mask, and I was kissing his forehead.
Sounds
That's pretty
normal.
weird.
I mean, in our family, that sounds like the standard approach.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't have a specific memory.
I don't either.
You might, but I mean, you were such a happy kid, and you still are.
Yeah.
You
Try to be.
You smiled, and you just had like a grin that would light up any room you'd walk into. You were just a happy kid, and a pretty easy kid to raise. You didn't give us a lot of
Tried not to be.
problems. You didn't do the kinds of things.
But then we found out so much more when he left and
Like
came
what?
back. Like what you did in high school that we didn't know about.
Like what? You got to give me an example.
You
here.
know, some
crimes and
crimes
misdemeanors.
and misdemeanors. No,
Nothing crazy.
You were
Actually, yes,
a
it was
really,
kind of crazy.
really easy kid to raise. And I just remember after all the kids were at school, you were like my buddy, and we'd go to the store and, you know, we'd do little things together. And then I made you Fat Brett. And
Fat Brett was the man. He's still in there. But yeah, I don't know. This is also kind of an interesting question because like Allie and I are talking about, you know, starting our family and all that kind of thing. So we're expecting whatever our imaginations like think about what being a parent is. But what have you loved and what have you hated about being a parent? You don't have to give any details about what kids like how bad Drew is. No, I'm just kidding.
Drew was really bad when you were born, but then he grew out of it like 6 months later.
He's been on this a few times, so I can call him out. But
that's hilarious.
Yeah, you can start with the hate part if you want. You also don't have to answer that one if you don't.
No. I think the only part I hated was when you guys were sick because I hated to see you guys miserable.
Yeah. You do have a soft heart.
I just that was hard for me, but I didn't hate any of it. Like hate. Like it was just every little step of being a parent. You grow and you change and you figure things out, and it's just like I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it. You explain things better than I do.
No, I know exactly what you're saying. There was nothing that I hated. There were challenges and there were difficulties for sure. Most of being a parent was a real gift. And I sometimes feel bad for people who don't get the opportunity to be parents or don't take the opportunity to be parents because I feel like there's probably no better school. There's no
For
better
life.
way to learn than putting everything you've got into little people that you love and helping them kind of establish a foundation and grow. And I mean, there's nothing that I hated about it. It was pretty magical for the most part. And again, there's challenges.
Right.
There was hard times. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. I was saying to somebody the other day, and I don't remember even who asked me, but someone asked me, what was the question? It was sort of like, do you, I know, yeah. And it was actually my granddaughter who asked me. She said, do you miss having little kids at home? And I said, the thing that I miss about having little kids was, and there were days when I thought I was going to lose my mind too with little kids, right?
There's lots of chaos.
Yeah. But I mean, little kids have little problems. You get a scrape, you clean up their knee, you put a Band-Aid on it, and you pat them on the bottom and send them on their way, and everything is better. When your kids grow up and become adults, they, you've done what you can do. You can still be there as a resource for them if they want to talk to you about that or ask you questions, right? But as adults, they make choices, and I can't necessarily go in and clean up the consequences of some of their choices and send them on their way. Like, you can still be there for them, you can love them, but their problems get considerably bigger and more and compounded, right? As you get older, and it's not a simple fix that you can just apply and pat them on the bottom and send them on their way.
You guys are still parenting, like, we're.
I think you parent your whole life.
Yeah.
Well, but
it's just
you have to
different.
be careful,
It's just different,
right?
Yeah.
You can't be too aggressive. There's lots of times when I would love to take somebody aside and say, "Hey, listen,
snap out of it."
But
we want the relationship with our kids. And so if you guys want advice, we're happy to give it, but we just love you and try to help you as best as we can without interfering.
Well, from your youngest, I can say that you guys have done really well, like, good job with that.
I'm sure sometimes I'm like, overstepping the grandma thing, but it's okay. I'm learning.
Hey, grandma's rules.
You learn. You learn as you grow.
That's it. And that's the whole point of this podcast is that, we're learning. So, no, I think that's interesting. I think I was a little sad that you didn't say dog ball as one thing that you love, as a love from parenting. I think you might need to explain what dog ball is.
Okay. Yeah. We did lots of crazy things. And that's actually one thing that I think all of you guys have said was that when you were little, we took time to play with you guys and have fun.
Dad was really good at that.
You guys both were.
Well, he was better at it than me.
Like, I remember summer nights. Those were my favorite because, like, we were all home from school and Dad would fire up the grill. Then we'd all spend the rest of the night outside just swimming and,
eating
crying, laughing, eating the corn. You got me into grilled veggies, and now that's like half my diet. So thank you for that.
Grilled veggies are delicious.
So dog ball. We had a golden retriever, and his name was Majerus.
Beautiful dog.
He was a beautiful dog, and he was the sweetest dog.
He was the sweetest dog.
But he was a big dog, right? But we played a game that we called dog ball. And so we had a pool in our backyard, and it was really long. It wasn't quite an Olympic length swimming pool, but it was narrow but long. And
like
so
5.5 feet deep.
It wasn't super deep. So we would play a game where you'd have to swim the length of the pool, and then somebody would be out on the deck of the pool with the dog's ball in their hand. And as the person swimming the length of the pool, as they were swimming, you would throw the ball right where that person was, and the dog would jump and land on you while you were swimming.
Sometimes he wouldn't do it all the time.
Well, we'd miss. Yeah. There were times when you would miss, and you would maybe fake out the guy who was up on the deck. You'd pretend like you're going in one direction, and then they'd throw it over there, and you'd go the other way to avoid the dog. But the dog would come down on you, and he'd claw your back as he was swimming to get the ball. And we all ended up with just giant welts, and we would do that all the time.
You kept doing it. I was just like, "What are you?"
It was so much fun. That's why
it was hilarious. Yeah, it was really fun. So
gosh.
I think it was primarily with you and your brothers.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if your sister ever did that, but
She might have done it a couple times,
Yeah.
but
It was mostly you weird.
there were times when, especially you, because you were the youngest, would end up in tears.
yeah.
There were times, I think, when we all wanted to cry, but
Such good memories.
it
I
actually.
wouldn't feel sorry for you at all.
Yeah, no, you shouldn't. We
it
were
was
having a great
hilarious
time.
game. Yeah. It was a blast.
How funny is that? You just get a giant dog thrown on you. It's so fun.
Gosh.
No, it was a good time. But there's like little memories like that I always think about. I'm like, man, I had such a good childhood. Like, it was fun.
I'm glad you think so.
That was great. I loved it.
That's good.
Getting
hear.
attacked by your golden retriever.
Yeah, he was my best
The
friend.
sweetest dog on the planet.
This question is kind of more for Dad, but
Okay.
you can answer too if you have one. Name a movie that's made you cry.
Ooh.
That's easy.
For you?
No, for him. I can name it right now.
Let's hear it.
Scrooge.
Oh,
The
yeah.
musical.
Really? Scrooge?
Yeah,
Makes him cry every day. Every time he watches it.
Every day.
I mean, every time he watches
And I wouldn't say I cry. It's
just
not
get
like I'm
teary.
sobbing, but
Yeah.
I do get teary.
It's like a sweet message.
It's a story of repentance and redemption and someone who wants to turn their life around. So I love that. But I mean, I would say, trying to think of a couple of other movies that I've just seen recently. Sing Sing, I think I teared up a little bit in that. Sing Sing is a story about, it's a true story about a group of prisoners at Sing Sing in New York who get
It's a true
involved
story.
in the dramatic arts and theater. They have their own program. And the interesting thing about that movie is that I think normally the recidivism rate for people who go back to prison after they get out is like 60%. It's very high.
But when before it was like 3%. Like,
Well, no. With the people who are in that program, it's 3% that go back. 2 or 3% of
insane.
those guys
sorry, I got the facts wrong.
go back to prison. So, but it was again, I think it's a story of redemption.
Yeah.
Of somebody trying to course correct, and I love stories like that. So I got a little teary eyed in that one. Schindler's List.
Yeah.
Always
gosh.
makes me weep.
Back to World War II.
Yeah, Saving
There
Private
you go.
Ryan. I mean,
All
there's-
those shows.
Yeah, the Band of Brothers.
That's the one that gets me. That's I
all
don't know.
those.
Yeah.
all those get me. Yeah,
But that was just a question for you because you studied film, so I had to ask. Kind of on the same note. Wait, do you have an answer? Do you have a?
I cry at every movie.
All right, fair enough.
Even if it's a Hallmark movie, I get teary.
Tommy Boy.
Tommy Boy, no, I did
You
not
cried
cry.
in Tommy Boy?
No, I did not cry in Tommy Boy.
Okay, then not every movie.
Not every movie. But if most movies have what is that, like that soft ending, then I'm like,
Did you see Wild Robot?
yes.
Did you cry in that one?
No.
The robot learns how to be a mom.
I know, but I was like, yeah, it was a sweet movie, but I did not.
Allie cried.
Did she?
Yeah, I'm calling her out. But
Nice.
she cried in that one.
All right,
I did
I'll
watch
see
a
it.
movie on the plane
good.
called White Bird, and I did cry. And I'm sitting there crying on the plane, like, oh, it was embarrassing, but it was so good. It was such a good and touching movie.
Well, on that same note, if you could go back in time and give your younger self a book, could be the Book of Mormon, could be whatever you want it to be, but what would it be and why? Like, what's one book that's really kind of helped either guide you or help you learn something that's made your life better?
You go ahead.
For me,
publisher, this is for you.
for me, it probably would be a book called Peace Like a River by Leif Enger. And I would take it to my younger self in high school. I was not, thankfully I've course corrected, but I would say I was more interested in, it was a knucklehead in high school. And you could call it rebelliousness, whatever, but I wasn't very sensitive to my parents or my family.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of a typical track that a lot of kids are on at that age. So Peace Like a River is a story about a family who comes together and rallies around someone who is kind of in jeopardy and danger. And it's just a beautiful story about the bonds of family and what family really means, what it's all about. So yeah, I love that book.
I know you've talked about it a lot, and I've admittedly never read it, and I need to.
It's one of my favorite, maybe not my favorite book of all time, but easily in the top 5. Yeah. I've got 4 or 5 copies sitting around the house. So if you want one.
Oh, really? Okay. I was going to say,
a bunch.
after this, I'm going to order one on Amazon, but I might just steal one from you.
Yeah, you could just steal one from us.
It's a great book.
Yeah. What about you, Mom? Anything?
I can't think of anything really. I really liked the book by, I can't even think of her name. It's called Grace. Oh, what is her name?
Well, it's called Grace. We'll just go with that.
Belle Freeman. That's
there you go.
Yeah, about the Savior's grace. And I was a pretty good kid in high school. I didn't like to read much, but now I love to read. So I'd probably take that back and just go, give yourself some grace.
It is true. We're very mean to ourselves.
Yeah, we are.
And
so
it's brutal.
It is.
But yeah, I think it's not really a surprise, but I'd probably choose extreme ownership to give myself in high school. Learn how to cultivate this discipline and then all that. But honestly, probably the Book of Mormon when I was getting into high school.
For sure.
Understand that the lessons that are in that book. Because I talk about stoicism all the time and all these things that all about self-progression, but really it's all in that book too. Treat other people right, love others as Jesus loves them and that kind of thing. And those actions, at least in my life, as I've tried applying those principles, have made my life not easier, but it seems like it just goes a little smoother. And making sure that you don't stray from the path. And if you do, you can always repent and come back, like you were saying with redemption. But yeah, I think I needed discipline in high school to not burn down trailers and stuff.
You were pretty disciplined. I'd come in and I wouldn't ever have to tell you to do your homework. You'd always do it, you know, and you'd be...
You know why though? Because growing up, it was always, if you finish your homework, you can play video games.
Oh.
So you built that into me.
Well, it worked.
It worked. So nice going there.
But it works on some kids and not others.
That's true.
So, yeah.
There's another book you should read called Original Grace. I think we gave it to you for Christmas a couple of years ago.
I may have read it then.
By a guy named Adam Miller.
Yeah,
and
Adam Miller.
It's a pretty deeply philosophical approach to our faith. But
I think we did give it to you.
We gave it to all of our kids.
I think it was last Christmas, wasn't it?
I think it was 2 years ago.
Oh.
But anyway, it just, that was a real eye-opener for me.
Yeah.
That we need to be easier, more accepting and understanding of others and of ourselves, and understand that he's got us. We just need to do our very best, as best as we can possibly do. So yeah, that was a good book. I enjoyed that one.
Kind of the whole message of this podcast, do your very best.
Yeah.
Just do what you can.
Right.
Take one step.
And you have to stretch yourself. I mean, you wouldn't know these things unless you read good books like that and stuff, or do things that you don't want to do, but if you keep doing it,
How long have you been working out consistently? Almost 7 years, right?
No, it is 7. No, 6. Is it 6 or 7? I think it's 7.
It's getting up there. I remember.
I can't remember. I have it written down because I can't remember. It's just running together. But yeah, it's 5 to 6 days a week for almost 7 years.
I mean, that's a long time.
Yeah, it is almost 7 years because I just celebrated 6 in July.
There you go. So what on the days when you didn't want to show up and do something and you just said, you have to push through sometimes. What did you tell yourself? I
put my workout clothes out just like you do.
Yeah.
Because I know if I don't, I will feel bad about it the whole entire day, and
That's where I get it from, huh?
Yeah, it's awful. So I put them on, and even if I have them on and I do a few things before I work out, I always work out.
Yeah.
And it makes me feel better. It helps the day go better. And if I have lots of things early in the morning, I get up early and I do it. It's super important to me, especially for my mental health.
I feel the same.
Yeah, I just think it just makes you can handle things better Do you think, and it's important.
Teaches you resilience too, because you gotta keep showing up.
What do you say? Juice in the joints? Is that what you say?
Juice in the joints.
Yeah, but working out creates juice in the joints.
Oh no, it's motion is lotion.
Motion is lotion.
Close enough. Juice in the joints. I kind of like. Sounds like a Juicy J song.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
No, but I
sounds like something else.
Getting older, I really notice that. Like if I keep moving, I feel better. If I stop, then I'll feel worse. I'll feel worse. Like we walked and walked and walked. Like I think the most we walked was 13 miles one day when we were in Europe.
Well, half marathon.
And it felt we were tired, but like I felt good.
Yeah.
So grateful I could do it.
I know, yeah, that's one thing I always think about. When I don't want to run, I think of Rob Jones. He's the guy I had on who doesn't have legs.
Oh, yeah.
And ran 31 marathons in 31 days. And it's like, if he can run that with no legs,
that's amazing.
I'm running 3 miles today, whatever. But
I know.
It's like another form of gratitude. Like, there's other people out there who have it way worse.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't get sick. I mean, I'm kind of have a cold right now, but I don't get sick either as much as I used to because I work out. Anyway, and then when I do, I'll skip that day, and then the next day I'll do something light or something. Yeah. I always do something. I always fulfill my 5 to 6 days.
I know, it's awesome.
Well,
it's pretty amazing. Like not a lot of people do that. So
you're nice.
And you run the mountains, so that's also tough.
Not nearly enough, but yes.
Do you ever?
I can't keep up with him.
He's quick. I ran with him a few times. But do you ever like feel like you're ready to drop dead on a run and you're like, whatever, I gotta just keep going?
No. I mean, there have been times when I've like twisted an ankle or something like that, but the only way out is to keep going, right?
That's it.
So
especially if you're in the mountains.
Yeah, that's how you solve that problem.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
just push.
The only way you can get out is on your own. So
or a helicopter if you do break your ankle.
Yeah. Well, even that I don't think I could do it. But
probably
anyway.
Not. You're like, I'll just crawl home.
Yeah, I really would.
Well, what's one piece of advice that your parents gave you that's stuck with you throughout your life?
Ooh.
I know what yours will be.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
You got to think of yours.
I'm interested.
Like, be yourself because the world needs your personality and your...
Yeah, that's true. I mean, my dad instilled a lot. Both my parents were unbelievable parents.
Yeah.
But I did have lots of kind of philosophical discussions with my dad about, like for example, in our church, right? There have been times when I'm a different guy. I'm very different from, I think, most people.
Yeah.
That can be a good thing and it can be a bad thing. And there's times I'm comfortable with it, right?
Yeah.
But there's times too when I feel sometimes like an outsider. And there was a time in my life when I remember saying to my dad, like, I don't belong here. I don't fit in here. I'm thinking about maybe stepping away a little bit from my faith.
Yeah.
And he said, you have different ideas. You ask good questions. You need to show up and be there. And people need to hear what you think, and you need to hear what they think, and you need to contribute, and you need to embrace it. And because our church needs you as much as you need it. And so that sort of stuck with me. And he did always encourage me to be who I am, just to be unique. Like as a little kid, that was instilled in me. It was like, don't try to fit a mold or a model. And I remember thinking that as a missionary when I served a missionary for our church in Argentina. And I remember seeing all these guys who kind of...
Everyone's trying to be the same person.
Sort of a cookie cutter. Like I need to become, this guy, this prototypical missionary.
Right.
And I remember thinking, I'm here because God wants me here. And there's something unique or different about me that I must have to offer. And sure enough, it happened. Like there were times when You want me to give you an example?
Yeah, give me an example.
So there was one man whose wife and children had joined our faith years before. He smoked and he was a bartender. Nicest guy in the whole world. But missionaries for like 10 or 11 years had gone through this little teeny town in Argentina, and like it was their mission to convert him to our faith.
He's like, this is the guy.
Yeah. So I remember, when I first went and met him and his kids, I said, is it okay if we come by and, visit you guys? And he goes, yeah, but I'm not at all interested in hearing about what you believe. I've heard it from every missionary for the last 10 or 11 years. Right. And I said, cool. Can we just come by and chat and hang out? Well, I don't need to ask you anything, or we don't need to have any formal discussions or anything. And he goes, yeah, please. We'd love to have you come by. So we started going by once a week, not having any kind of religious discussions.
How would it go? You just show up and he's like, come on in. And then you guys just talk for a minute. Yeah, how's your week going?
Talk about food. We talk about soccer. We talk about, where I was from in California and Hollywood and what that was like. I mean, everyone wanted to know about Ronald Reagan, who was the president at the time. I mean, it was, they were just peppering me with questions.
Yeah.
And eventually some of those questions that I started getting asked were related to what we believe in our faith. And so I started to share some of my thoughts that were, I think, in harmony with what we believe, but might have been a little bit different. It wasn't like a formal discussion that we had. It was just kind of me. In our church, we call it a testimony, or like kind of what we believe.
Right.
And so I started to share some of those things with him when he asked. And then I moved on, right? Like I got transferred and went to a different part of Argentina. And I think like 3 or 4 months later, I got a call from our mission president who said, hey, this guy wants to join our church, but he wants you to do it. He wants you to be the guy who baptizes them into our faith. And so I jumped on a bus and went back and did that. It was a real honor because he was a sweetheart of a guy, and it was his family was just overjoyed because it had been years and years and years of them hoping he would.
That's awesome.
Come to terms with it, and then he went on to be like the little ecclesiastical leader in that town.
Cool.
After I got home, they'd made him a bishop of that little congregation, which was kind of cool.
It is cool. And it's like that story is exactly what you just said. Like everyone has unique abilities or unique characteristics and traits that will, reach one person that for 11 years couldn't reach, or whatever the scenario might be. But like being who you are is
and I think Dad told each one of you boys as you went on your mission that that's what you should do, is be your own person, or be your own, don't be a robot.
100%. You know what I've been thinking about quite a bit that was draped over our door before we left, like the front door. Do you remember what it said?
Choose the right.
No, remember who you are.
Oh, remember who you are. Yeah. I had a couple signs.
Yeah, a couple signs. But really, like thinking about remember who you are has so many different meanings. Like
it does.
I think
you had a podcast about that.
I did. I've talked about it a few times, but like, I don't know. There's just like, remembering who you are means, you remember your ancestors that came before you and how they tried giving you a better life than what they had. Mm-hmm. You remember that, you're a child of God. You remember that you have a family that loves you and that you have unique traits and capabilities and stuff. And I think there's a lot that goes into that, you just say the phrase, remember who you are. And it's like a cliche thing to say, but there's a lot behind it. But there's a lot
to it. Yeah.
So I love that. What about you, Mom?
I think for my parents, I mean, I had same as Dad, great parents growing up. But I think the things that stuck out for me, from my parents, were to work hard and help others. Because, that's what we did.
Yeah.
And we're at a family party and my dad just looks at us and we get up and we start helping. And it just instilled in me, and it brings so much joy. So to work hard and to help others.
Did you ever help him on the farm?
I did. I
What was
wasn't
that
good
like?
at it.
What'd you do?
I would start the water. So we'd have the pipe and we'd have to go one, put our hand on it,
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, and you have to, get the suction and then
Yeah.
it pours out. But those were mainly on dates. We would just go on dates, and sometimes my dad didn't have time being a farmer, and so our dates would be going on the farm and helping him, and he'd listen to our awful music that he didn't like. And
Like what?
Like another one bites the dust, sticks out.
Okay.
And another one's gone, and another one's gone, another one bites the dust. Well, that's all it says. And so my dad's like singing along with it, It
Catches on right away.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say like time after time.
No.
By Cyndi Lauper? Is
Yeah, it's a bad
that?
song.
That's a rough one.
Yeah. No, but
that is cool.
I never drove the tractor. I never, like, my dad got us each a cow to raise when they were calves, and thinking that, it would because it's a lot of work taking care of a cow.
I've milked goats.
And then once we, took care of the cow, he was going to sell it for beef, and we would get the money. And I lasted, I think, 4 days.
Why?
I didn't like going out there and feeding the cow. So it ended up I have 3 sisters and a brother, or 2 sisters and a brother, and all of his sisters didn't do anything.
So you had 4 cows?
We had 4 cows, and my brother did all the work and he got all the money.
That makes sense.
I mean,
do you know how much you made?
Like 10 grand.
Dang, so $2,500 a cow.
That was back in the day.
It's back in the 80s?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it was like 70, because I think he was like 10 when we did it, but he's the one that got all the money, and it paid for his mission.
That's pretty cool.
So I was like, dang it, I could have got so much money, but.
Can you imagine all I don't even know what the leg warmers you could buy with that money? I don't know. What did they buy in the 80s?
Yeah.
But no, I think that's cool. It's I don't know, like hearing that makes total sense with like your parenting styles, because I can see those lessons like taught directly to me, because like remember who you are was a huge one. And then the same thing, we'd be at a party and you'd get mad if we didn't help out with like clearing the tables.
No,
or doing
that's what you
and,
do. People spend so much time getting ready for something like that you help them take it down. That's just what you do. And
so never get mad at me for doing the dishes at your house.
I still do, because you don't. Sometimes I just want you to have fun.
I do have fun.
The other great thing that, like, my parents, they just opened a door, right? There was never any questions or any discussion that was off limits.
Yeah.
And I was always grateful for that, because I've known so many other people and kids who just felt like they couldn't go to their parents about anything without, being judged for it. So I was really grateful for that environment that they kind of cultivated, where it was, you can talk about anything.
Yeah.
And we incorporated that.
Yeah, you guys had an open door policy.
Yeah. My parents were like that too. I mean, you could talk to them about anything.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, I really didn't have a lot to talk about. I mean, I was a pretty good kid.
Yeah.
But, if I came to them. No, I'm not saying anything.
I'm not saying anything.
I'm just saying that, like, if we had a problem, they would definitely, and they would help us. We had really great parents. We had really good examples.
Yeah.
My parents never fought in front of us.
Yeah.
They would always go in their room and shut the door. And I'd always listen at the door like, are they going to get divorced? But they wouldn't fight and yell and scream. They would just talk things out.
Yeah.
Kind of loudly sometimes, but for the most part, it was like, just having a discussion that they didn't want us to hear, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
I didn't know all the ins and outs and what was going on. And and I think that was probably a good lesson. But anyway.
I mean, the example of others is one of the best ways to learn, is just seeing how other people treat, and like,
Yeah, because you can see people and go, oh, I'm never doing that. I'm never going to act like that.
And I'm sure there's things like that your parents said that you're like, hey, you know what? Maybe I won't do that. Or like, it just goes both ways. But I think it's interesting to think about that. Like, it's generational wisdom in a sense. Like, it's kind of interesting. Like, it just keeps getting passed along. It's like, hey, this helped me. This will help you. And their kid has a variation of the same thing or whatever, if they apply it. But
Can I ask you a question?
Please.
How many of your listeners have we put to sleep at this point?
Let's see. If you're still with us, let's talk about faith.
Let's talk about faith.
So if they're not asleep now, we're going to talk about faith. But how would you describe your spiritual beliefs? I know we've talked a little bit about like faith in Christ. We've made it kind of clear that we're Christians. But what does that mean to you? Because for me, it means like I have the opportunity to become who I was meant to be and to repent, to be forgiven. But I'm curious, you guys have always taught me to pretty much the principles of the gospel we believe, and how to apply it to your life and, be strong to it, and how to strengthen your faith to grow your testimony, like you were saying. But kind of want to open it up a little bit. Like, how would you describe your relationship with faith?
Go ahead. No, you start.
Okay. I don't know. I think it's a difficult thing to describe.
Yeah.
And I think my faith has evolved over the years. I don't feel or believe a lot of the same things that I did when I was even your age, right? And it's very, very personal.
Yeah.
But it all, at the end of the day, it comes back to my relationship with God and my belief in his son as a redeemer, right? As a savior. But I believe that I can get answers to just about anything through personal revelation. And I think that's the key for me. I don't feel like I need to rely on a minister or a leader in order to get an answer to something that's personal. I can go directly to the Lord and petition him myself.
Yeah. Go to the source.
Right. And so I do rely on him, and I have a lot of conversations with him, and there are, I think a lot of times people think about the silence of God, but there are many times when he'll answer me, maybe not verbally, but through some sort of occurrence that takes place, or through feelings and thoughts and
or other people.
I know exactly what you're saying. It is so hard to describe, but
it is.
Once you experience it, I think you kind of understand it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think sorry, I'll let you go, Mom. And then
No.
I was just going to say, I think like for my faith, at least, like you guys have seen me in my ups and downs, like when I came home from my mission and, I looked like a gray man. It was terrible.
That was awful.
And then a few years later, I have a tumor in my brain that was making some serious issues. But through all of it, like I had to rely on my faith because it gave me hope. And it made me realize that this life is temporary. And what we're meant to do is endure it well and try and help others along the path and get to know Jesus Christ. And it's definitely like I have a life ahead of me of studying, because I think I'm at the tip of the iceberg. But
I think for me too, my faith it's all framed by an eternal perspective.
Yeah.
Right. So anything that takes place here, in our faith, we believe that mortality is like a giant classroom to learn and to grow.
Yeah.
And so I think it's important to keep, at least for me personally, to keep my eye on the eternal angle and keep that perspective, because that's ultimately, what I'm aiming for. So you have to kind of stay on that track and keep your eyes focused on the horizon while you're going through the stuff you're going through here.
How do you do that during a trial? Because that's the hard part for me.
Yeah, that's always hard.
Yeah.
For me, the hard part is sometimes when I feel like he's silent, right? When I feel like I'm not getting answers. And there have been a lot of those where, it'll go on for a long, long period of time, like months, maybe years in some cases, where you continue searching for answers, and you read and you study and you pray. But eventually, in my experience at least, the answer always comes. It comes in a way that you don't anticipate, not necessarily in the way that you wanted or expected it.
Yeah.
But it comes, and it's almost always better than what I could have dreamed up on my own.
It's the patience part that's the hardest.
Yeah, it's the patience part.
But I'm like you, is like faith is hope for me. and strength,
Yeah. Gets you through the tough stuff.
It does. And he gives you strength to get through it. And once you experience that, then you rely on that, you remember it, and it helps you the next time.
Yeah.
Because, life is hard.
Life is tough.
Yeah,
but it's also joyful,
Faith is one of those core things in my life. I think it is in yours too. Like faith, family. Yeah. The other piece for me that's really important, an important component, is service. And there are times when I've been very active serving, and other times I think right now at this point in my life, I haven't really been focusing on caring for others the way I would like. But when I do that, things go better for me.
Yeah.
I'm happier. I get the answers more readily than
I can
just struggling through it and trying to do it on my own. It's when I start to focus on helping somebody else that I start to get those answers a little bit. So service is a part of that for me too.
Yeah, and I agree. Like the problem with service is it's inconvenient. It's never easy to do. But
No.
I'll refer back to yesterday again, but we were at a Christmas party and no one heard from Rosie the entire day, and it was around 3 p.m. or 2 p.m. I don't know, but it was like starting to get in the afternoon. No one heard from her, and Allie and I were like, let's go check on her. And I was like, I really got to leave my family Christmas party, like to go drive 25 minutes and then come right back, make sure she's okay. But obviously, like, that wasn't the right mindset to have, like, want to make sure she's okay. But when I got back, like, it was instantly that, it was better than I could have imagined, because I think it just showed me that, I really do have it good with like a family around me that loves me and cares about me. And
well, not just that, but you're caring for somebody else. That gives you meaning and purpose.
That's true.
It's really easy to just ignore people in need. It's really easy. We do it all the time. I do it all the time.
Yeah.
I don't think that's true. You do it all the time.
Well, no, there's need all around us. And if I had my way, I would not work and I would just serve. And make that like almost like a missionary kind of an experience if I had the means, right? But it's never convenient, but it's always
worth it.
It's always worth it. Yeah, it's always fulfilling. And to me, I feel a little bit closer to God when I help somebody else. Yeah. So it's always rewarding.
I mean, that's like you guys as parents. You served us every single day. And I'm sure it was tough. Like you had a full-time job. You were, sometimes you'd work for like Kelco and random jobs. But like you guys always would put our needs above your own. And that's what service is.
That's what you do as a parent is you are unselfish. Sometimes more than you should be. But it's just, anyway.
It's good. But this, I got one more question for you guys. It's a heavy hitter.
Ooh. Oh, no.
So this has been on my mind because I've been married for almost 1.5 years.
That's crazy.
It's pretty wild. But when I first started talking to Allie again, we were just friends. And then, we fell in love. And then now we're married and all this. But just this past year of marriage, my love for her has grown like crazy. And so I know it's the same. She feels the same way, but, I'm interested to see where it's going to be, 15, 20, 40 years from now. But how has your understanding of love or friendship evolved over the years between you two?
Well, we hate each other.
And with that, thank you guys for listening.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Gosh. Oh, man.
Here, you go first this time.
You guys met in Hawaii.
We met in Hawaii.
Yeah.
And I was instantly attracted. He was not.
Okay. Do we need to go down this road?
No, we won't. We'll just skip over that part.
Skip over that.
Yeah. And we were friends first.
Yeah.
Just like you and Allie were.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. There was just something about your dad that I just loved everything about him. He was funny and he was cute, and he had this great smile that would just light up the world, you know.
You do have a great smile.
It's incredible.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
It really is.
Anyway.
Especially when you do the Willem Dafoe impression.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
That's a good one.
No, but we were just friends first, which was nice, you know, and anyway. And then I asked him to marry me, and he said yes. And
He said yes.
Wait, so you proposed to him?
I did, because we were leaving Hawaii. He lived in California.
Yeah.
I lived in Arizona, and I was like, you know, didn't want to wait around. I was like, I know I've prayed about this. I know you're the right one, but you know, I don't have time to wait around, because we leave back home. Anyway.
And to be honest, like, I never would have pulled the trigger.
Yeah.
Right. I thought she was great.
He thought I was acting the whole entire time, that I was nice, and he didn't think it was true.
If I'm being honest, I think it's just in the last few years that I've gone, she's genuinely this way, right?
Yeah.
Like, I always thought that she was just putting on an act, because there couldn't be anybody as nice as your mom, and as like kind, and she's just genuine, right?
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, okay, that's all gonna break down at some point. I'm gonna see her.
The real me is gonna come out.
Yeah, and I've
business bitch.
That's right.
I've never seen it. Yeah. Right? Like, there's just goodness there. So
Whatever.
Yeah, I thought she was great, but I kept waiting for the shoe to drop and for her to show her real self, and it's never happened. Her real self is really good.
That's true. That I can attest. And how do you guys nurture your relationship? Like, what are some ways that you guys grow closer?
Well, I think communication is huge. And you have to tell each other how you're feeling and what's going on in your day. And your dad's so sweet. He always stops and takes time. Even if he is like up to here with work, he always, like, if I'm having a bad day or whatever. So that
taking... It's not true.
It is true.
It's not true.
It is true.
Again, thank you guys for listening. Just kidding.
I'm glad you think that that's true, because I feel like I don't take enough time.
No, but I mean, taking time for each other, you know, having a date night. That was one thing when we got married. The guy performing the ceremony says, have a date night no matter what. And so we always tried to do that. When you guys were little, it was hard sometimes. We didn't always or he was traveling. It didn't always happen, but we always try to take time for each other and, you know, talk to each other and put the other person first. You know, it's sacrifice, but it's worth it, you know,
I think that's the ticket. We early on in our marriage, it was like, we're not going to ever lie to each other or hold back. Yeah. Right. So if I've done something wrong, I'm going to go to mom and say, hey, I screwed up and I did this. But you know, I just want you to know I'm working on it, or whatever. And of course, like, there's some things that I don't know that I've ever not shared anything with you, but we always were really open. That was the key thing. And
sometimes it wasn't easy to hear.
But like she said, it was, I think that I've tried to put her first, and I know mom does that to me. She puts me first over herself. Yeah, all the time. And
well, she does that for everyone, but you especially.
Yeah, I mean, it's really true. And like, I'm the beneficiary of all of this stuff.
But so am I. So,
but I think that's been the key. And the more, it's funny, because I love her. I love her more than anybody else. But I would also say she's absolutely my closest friend.
Yeah, I would say that too.
I enjoy being with her more than anybody else. I mean, that trip we just came back off of was a total blast.
Like, I didn't feel one time that, like, I needed a break or I needed to go do something by myself.
Just partying it up.
It was fun being with my best friend.
There was one time when I thought, okay, I need a break.
Really?
When we were in Germany. And that was when...
Here's where the openness comes out.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Dun, dun, dun. So I had Google Maps open on my phone, and Mom says, well, where do we go? And I said, well, we just go right down this street here. And she goes, okay, let's go to the right. And I go, well, what?
I was looking at it wrong. So just to,
What? No. So I started going down this way and she went down that way. And I think she looked over and was like, oh. So, but it was then it was a long, long day. And I'm just like, okay.
Yeah. But what's great is that like what we both have something to bring to the table. Like he was really good at saying, okay, we need to go this way. But I was like visually like, the hotel's back this way. So let's go this way. And then the Google would get back on and it'd be fine. But like we were a good team, getting around and we're a good team with other things too. Like when he's having a bad day, I lift him up. When I'm having a bad day, he lifts me up. And it's just
you guys are a good team.
We try.
We were walking around in London and it was cold and I was exhausted. We walked that 13 miles right? We were on the London Bridge and I couldn't figure out where we needed to go. And she was like, let's go over here now. Let's go do this. And I said, Dina, no, I'm done. I'm tired. I just want to sit down and warm up. And she goes, great, let's go find a little cafe and get some hot chocolate. And so we walked over into this little cafe, sat down, had hot chocolate, and I warmed up and I started thinking again. And I'm like, perfect. That's a great idea. That was exactly what I needed. So she knows how to like soothe the beast when I get frustrated.
And same. Other way.
Yeah. Well, I think that's like what I'm finding in my own marriage with Allie is like I have strengths and I have weaknesses, but her strengths make up for my weaknesses and my strengths make up for hers. And it's like we just,
and that's how you help each other through life.
Yeah.
You complement one another, Brett.
There you go. That's couldn't have said it better.
It's totally true. And he's made me a lot more fun. I was really a stiff, boring person, and all my cousins can tell you.
And now you're throwing crazy Christmas and Christmas Eve parties and grandkid parties and you can't stop partying.
I've always been a partier, but
you've never been boring.
No, but I'm not saying I was boring, but like
I would. No.
I'm just saying like I would I guess overreact with some stuff. I don't know. Yeah. It's hard to explain, but he's made me a little more chill.
Oh, I love it. How long have you guys been married?
It'll be 38 years in June.
And what's one piece of advice that you would say to anyone who's in a relationship or currently married that you think could be beneficial?
I always think about the other person first. And it's not about me, because, it makes all the difference when you put yourself in their shoes and maybe what they're going through and vice versa. And
don't just totally throw yourself into it. Don't hold anything back.
Yeah.
Just
both feet.
Yeah. And don't be something other than who you are. Just be genuine and work through it. Like you just don't let anything get in the way of your relationship. I think that's
because, your core is more important. And then once your core is strong, then the kid thing works out better and handling your kids and your family and all the other stresses that come with it. But if you're strong together, it's hard to not be able to manage the others. Does that make sense?
100%. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway.
I think I understand now because I'm married. But
yeah. You didn't understand it before, but
now I do.
Well, you've got a good one, so.
Yeah. And I don't know. It's just been fun watching you guys throughout the years like grow together and like get closer and like, I don't know, like you guys put up with each other and it's.
Well, I can see how these older people that have been married for so long, like one spouse dies and then the other follows suit shortly because it's, you get this great bond and you just don't want to be without them.
This has taken a turn.
I know it has, but I'm just saying.
Dad, are you dying?
No, he's not. Sorry. Okay, I'm done.
Aren't we all?
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
Slowly but surely.
Memento mori.
Yes, that's right.
That's right.
That's right.
Well, it's been fun having you guys on.
Thanks for having us.
You guys getting after anything? Okay, here's actually one last question.
Okay.
Cool.
You guys are getting old. You just said it. You might be dying. We all are. Yeah. But is there anything that you would want to thank you? Is there anything you guys want to try or do before you leave? Like before you die? Like is there anything else that you feel like, oh, I want to still try this thing before I'm gone?
Yes.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be anything crazy. I'm just
I
curious.
think there's a whole slew of
There's
things.
a whole slew of things. The one thing that popped out is I would love to sing on stage in front of a huge audience.
You did that at
I know.
Diamondbacks games.
I know, but
Twice.
I don't know. But I think I want to still I'm excited. I'm working on this project for my grandkids next year. I'm really excited about it and doing stuff like that. Just keep doing that, and
I love it.
and traveling, of course.
You know what we should do? You said big stage. Let's do a Ginge Hold On tour, and you can come out and perform your piece on Peaceable Kingdom. Yeah, you can come and do.
No, I want the whole mic. I want the whole.
Okay.
The band, everything.
You can kick Ginger out. Then.
Ginger's
Just push
out.
her out.
I'm just kidding.
She wants to do a little Beyonce,
Yeah,
Taylor Swift action.
No.
Yeah, I'm a diva. I'm a diva.
No, I don't want
Let's
to be
get
a
you a
diva.
bodysuit.
Oh,
Yeah, get a
please,
bodysuit
no.
and what else do they do?
I don't want a
Get you
bodysuit.
some background
Wigs.
dancers, wigs. Get you some wigs, some really
and a
high
bodysuit.
boots.
No, it just
Boots.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
We're not doing
Sequins.
anything. Never mind. I don't want to be on stage.
we're gonna arrange it. We're gonna get after it.
I just think continuing to do things that, like your podcast, like you love that, and I love to sing, and I'm never going to be Kelly Clarkson, but to do something.
No, it's because you're Dina Russo.
No,
You never
that's
will
right.
be. That's right.
She has an amazing voice. Anyway, I don't know, stuff like that's just me. What
like
about
it.
you?
Are you gonna write your book?
What book?
Didn't you say you want to write like stories?
You should write a screenplay.
I mean, I would like to one day. I don't have any time for it.
We need to do the demons, the High Sierras book. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Where the guys go into the mine and they find out that it's a mine to hell.
I mean,
That's why it's abandoned.
yeah. There's all kinds of
A
things.
mine to actual hell?
They find the gateway to hell.
Oh,
Yeah,
I didn't
that's why
hear
it's
that
abandoned.
part.
And it's in the Sierra Nevadas.
Yeah, in the mine in the sky. It's a real place. Look it up.
Honestly, for me, I think I like to try new things.
Yeah.
There's almost nothing I wouldn't try unless it's excessively dangerous. One of the things that I wanted to do was skydive, right?
Yeah.
And Mom told me for years, like, get it out of your head. You're never going to do it. And
We
then
had 4 children. I didn't want to be a widow.
yeah,
That's fair.
And then in my 40s, one birthday, I got this gift card to go skydiving, and I was like, "Is she trying to kill me?" But
I'm done. Here you go.
yeah, but I think honestly, I love stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I want to keep adventuring and traveling, and I love different cultures.
Yeah.
I love
I do
that. I
too.
love learning about other people because I think you can draft off of their good things, and
Yeah, for sure.
and you can learn from that. But that's one thing. But at the end of the day, really, I think it goes back to this is who I want to be. It's not necessarily what will happen, but I'd like to get back to a place where I can serve people, right?
Yeah.
In some capacity. My experience as a missionary was really unique because you don't have a job. You're just
there.
out helping
Serving,
other
helping.
people. Maybe not helping them the way I'm envisioning it now, right? That was more about proselyting and
Right.
converting, but I'd like to get out and actually just serve. Maybe not even in an official capacity in some way, but just to serve
Just help others.
every day. And I mean, Mom and I have talked about doing stuff like that at some point, but I think ultimately traveling and serving would be my big goals.
I mean, those are 2 big things.
Yeah.
You guys all have to plan something so you can come back on and tell more lessons learned.
We're already working on our next adventure.
That's true. So
So-
that's to come, and I'm pumped on that one.
Yeah.
because I'll be there.
Yeah, that's right.
That's gonna be a good time.
Yeah.
So
But there's other things we want to do together. Like, I mean, we've talked about Vietnam and,
yeah,
just things that we just want to experience. So we'll
just
see.
keep getting after life. That's what you guys are
That's
doing.
right.
That's it.
So
We're trying
well,
until we can't anymore.
yeah, that's true. And then I'll have to get after it for you. We'll take
That's
you
right.
to places.
That's
Put you in a wheelchair and take you to
There you
Vietnam.
go.
Just kidding.
Works for me.
No, seriously, thanks guys for coming and
Thanks for
talking to
having
me
us.
for a while.
Thank you for having us, Brett.
Oh, that was nice. That's gonna be like so loud because I have the sensitivity on that one turned up a bunch, so people are going to be like, ah. Anyways.
Sorry.
You'll just have to
one or two people that are still listening.
Anything else before we jump off?
No, but you're the best son. You're just a good son.
Did you hear that, Blake and Jerome?
No, I didn't mean it like you would that way. Now, wait a minute. You're just a very good son, and we love you.
I appreciate that, and I love you guys too. So.
And you get after it all the time.
Well, until next episode, everyone else, keep getting after it. That was it. You guys killed it. That was fun. I don't know how long that was.